So, my opponent made some very strong claims, but ultimately chose arguments that focus on punishing broken systems rather than fixing them. So, I just want to be very clear. We already admit that the justice system is flawed. If rapists walk free, if sentencing is inconsistent, then why should we trust that same system with the irreversible decision to execute someone? Capital punishment doesn't just fix injustice, it locks it in permanently. They also said that the problem is the justice system, not capital punishment, but the two are completely connected. We've seen over 190 people exonerated from death row since 1973. That's 190 people who were one appeal away from being wrongfully killed. If we can't guarantee that the system is fair every single time, we have no business giving it the power to kill. Life in prison without parole still holds the people accountable, but leaves room to fix mistakes. My opponent also brought up reoffending, and I get it. People want to feel safe, but here's the thing. People on death row are usually serving life without parole. They're not being released. They're not out there reoffending. So the idea that the death penalty keeps us safer is just not true. Life in prison already removes that threat without risking the execution of the wrong person. Next up, deterrence. This is brought up in every single death penalty debate I've seen, but the data just doesn't support it. The National Research Council, among many others, has found no reliable evidence to support the death penalty actually deters crime than life in prison. So if it doesn't prevent crime, why do we keep pretending it does? If we really want safer communities, we really should be focusing on education, mental health services, and community support, not killing people. Now, I agree that the appeal process can be re-traumatizing for victims, but here's the part that's being left out. Those very long, painful appeals only exist because someone's being sentenced to death. If we use life without parole, the appeals would be shorter, less expensive, and way less emotionally draining. So if the goal is to protect victims from repeated trauma, then removing the death penalty actually helps with that. My opponent also mentioned the cost of housing inmates, but again, that's just surface level. Sounds good until you actually look at the numbers. So in reality, death penalty cases cost millions more than life in prison. Why? Because of the mandatory appeals, the expert witnesses, the longer trials needed to try and prevent wrongful executions. So if it's really about saving taxpayers' money, the death penalty is a massive waste. They also said that the death penalty could help with prison overcrowding, but statistically it just doesn't add up. Death row inmates make up less than 0.05% of the prison population, so executing them would barely make a dent. If overcrowding is a concern, we need to look at broader sentencing, reform, and how to handle nonviolent offenses, not wrapping up state-sanctioned killings. And they also brought up the Green River Killer, and being from Washington, that's very close to home, and how he became so close to being released, but that example actually works against the point. He wasn't almost released. Instead, he actually helped investigators identify 49 victims, giving closure to dozens of families. If he had been executed early on, those families would have never gotten answers. Those people's names would have never been told. Execution might feel like justice right in the moment, but it can also rob people of the truth. So here's the bottom line. Capital punishment sounds like justice, but in practice it's expensive, ineffective, traumatic, and deeply flawed. It doesn't help keep us safer, it doesn't deter crime, and it absolutely does not guarantee justice. Life without parole is the smarter, safer, and more humane choice, and it gives us room to fix our mistakes. If we really care about justice, then we need to abolish the death penalty.